Okay everyone, today we are going to start our first lecture on core Python programming course. So this will be our first lecture where we'll be talking about various things. First we will start with what is Python. So the only prerequisite for this video is that you should know what is programming. Okay, so I will give you a quick recap of what is programming, but if you want to get started with this, this is completely basic video that will help you to understand what is Python, and then we'll code a little bit about variables. We'll learn about variables, we'll learn about identifiers and everything, and the timestamp will be in the description box below so you can access the topics anytime. So first of all, let's discuss about a bit about what is programming. Okay, so let's assume that there is a two boy Ayush, and there is another boy which is for example Krish. Okay, so we have two boys and they both are talking. Okay, so they both are talking. So in other words, they are communicating with each other, means sharing information. Okay, so Ayush said Krish to switch on the fan. So actually Ayush and Krish are communicating, means here Ayush is giving instructions. So it's somehow a communication between both of them. Okay, so for example, Ayush wants to talk with Krish in English. Okay, so he's talking in English language. Okay, so for some notes to be taken over here, that Ayush is talking with the Krish, okay, giving some instructions to the Krish to do this, and then Krish will switch on the fan, and then that will be the output of the Krish. Means Ayush told Krish to switch on the fan, now Krish switch on the fan. Okay, and Ayush told Krish in English language. Now Ayush wants to talk with machines or computers. So how Ayush will talk? Okay, so if you assume, okay, Ayush can talk in English with computers, the computers don't understand English. Okay, so computers don't understand English. So Ayush told to open this app or open this software. Okay, but computers will not open. Ayush given some instructions in English language, but computers will not open. So for communicating between these two people like Ayush and computers, there is something called as programming. Okay, using programming you can give instructions to the computers, and then computer will respond back onto your instruction the same way Krish has done. Okay, this is what the whole picture of programming is. I hope that you understood. Okay, great. So let's start with so here for example we were on Python. So Ayush was talking with computers using a term named programming, but in which language he's talking? If I talk about in programming terms, it cannot talk in English. So there is many programming languages that are made for talking with computers. Okay, so there is Python, there is C, there is C++, there is Java, there is C#, there is Perl, and a lot more programming languages. Okay, and Python is the one that we are going to study in this course. Okay, so let's start with this Python programming language to start giving instructions to the computers. Okay, so let's start with what is Python. Okay, so read the definition. The definition says that a Python programming language is one of the most robust programming language or elegant programming language that delivers both power and applications of traditional compiled language with the ease of using simpler scripting and interpreted languages. And I know that you are pretty much confused from this, because these we will we will from on the next of 5 slides we'll be continuing the talk of this definition. Okay, so just I want to give you the definition of this. Now let's elaborate this definition a bit. Okay, and after we will understand this all, and then you will be able to understand what this definition want to say. Okay, so just as a history, Python is developed by Gyro van Rossum in 1989. Okay, so let's talk about this definition. Let's elaborate this definition a lot more. Don't worry, we'll revisit this definition after we complete these 4 to 5 features, so it should make sense to you. Python is a high-level language. So what is high-level language? This is the first thing. So in early eras, when the programming started, we used to write code or write programs or give instructions to the computers in a 0-1 format, means binary format like this, giving instructions to the program. But it is very hard, almost impossible for writing complex binary codes, and it's very tough. It's not a user friendly. So these are called the machine code. These are called the machine code, which is the binary code which we make in which we talk about. So in early, when programming started, these binary codes are being used. Okay, so these are the machine code. Now the programmers or researchers or scientists of the previous eras was finding very difficult to code in this. So they have developed the high level programming language that are user friendly. Okay, the code you write are very user friendly in terms of programming context. Okay, so anyone it makes sense as well. It is user friendly and environment friendly. Not environment friendly, it's user friendly in terms of programming context. So we have C and C++ develop after the machine code, and then for more high level programming language we have got Python, Perl, and a lot more. Okay, so these are still high level programming language. These are more high level programming language. So Python has its own high level built data structures such as retrieval arrays, dictionaries, tables, hash tables, then a lot more. So these dictionaries are also called hash tables. So these are the inbuilt data structures. Okay, so by continuing this course, you will be also learning a lot more data structures which will help you in your journey of data structures and algorithms journey. Okay, if you're striving to learn DSA. So in Python you have high level built-in data structures such as lists, dictionaries, and hash tables, which is also called the hash tables, and we'll elaborate. There is 2 hours lecture on each of the topics to learn more about this. Okay, next thing, the next feature of Python is its object-oriented programming language. Okay, so what is object-oriented programming language? This video is not based on OOP, but in simple terms, using object-oriented programming principle or process, you can actually make your software reusable, or you can make your own code reusable. Okay, so what you are doing, you're actually making that blueprint, you're actually making a template and making use of that template different place. Okay, so that's the practice of OOP. So this template is known as class, and its copy of the template where it is being used are called objects. Okay, in Python everything is object. Okay, so you will get to know further, but if you don't understand what is this OOP, just in simple words, you have a template and you make use of this code, place, by making this code reusable. Okay, Python is not only OOP language or object-oriented programming language. It actually has a functionality of a functional programming language borrowed from Haskell and Lisp, the features. So what is functional programming language? So we have a specific chapter on functions or functional programming language that we will continue to talk more on that later on. But just for your information, I've given this. Great. So let's go further into another features. It is scalable. So what do you mean by scalable? So for example, you've written your code base, or you have your software. Now you've written your applications or anything. You build your applications using Python. Now they need to be expanded, or you need to grow it. Okay, so Python allows basic building blocks. It's very easy to expand or grow, and further, if you have a large code base, it can be easily maintained. One of my favorite this feature in Python, it will not show you when you're a beginner. When you actually work in some companies or other stuffs, this feature will show up to you. Okay, it can be we can scale the Python applications. Great. Second, next feature is extensible. What is extensible? So for example, you've written your some sort of logic in some other file. Okay, so you have the Python file over, you've written some code. Now you have another file which is another folder, different place. Now you can actually import this file rather than writing the same code. You can import this file rather than writing the same code second time. You can actually import it and make use of that function or a logic, whatever you have written. So it is very extensible. Next feature is it is portable. So what do you mean by portable? Is it contributes to a large variety of systems in the CS domain. It's being contributing to large variety in computer science domain. Actually used in you can use in any systems. Let's say it does not have any system requirements so much of, but yeah, you don't need 80s computers, but yeah, it works. And then it is also used in variety of computer science domains like artificial intelligence. It is also used in artificial intelligence and machine learning. It is also used in GUI applications. It is also used in quantum computing because of its easiness. Okay, because Python code is easy to learn the syntax. Quantum computing, and then you have blockchain. It's also being used, and then software engineering. It is also being used because of its easiness. Engineering. We can also use in a data structures and algorithms kind of thing, and a lot more. Okay, so these are the booming domains that are currently being used in Python is being used in this. Okay, so all thanks to Gaurav and Rossum. Another feature is robust and effective. So what do you mean by robust? So for example, you written your code. Okay, you written your some sort of code like this. Okay, now you want to validate your code. Okay, you run the code, means after running the code you will see what we have done. Okay, so you write your code or something. Now you will run the code in some terminal. Okay, now after you run the code in the terminal, it will, if your code or a syntax is wrong, or if your code failed, then the Python shows very useful informations from where your program crashed, from where your program failed, in which line, in which function name, or in which function call, okay, the error took place. Okay, so it is very robust and effective. Another feature is memory manager. Python has its own memory manager. It is responsible for allocation of memory, where you allocate some amount of memory. You can retrieve your memory. You can store the memory in some contents. You can share it by effectively. You can minimize the access time of the memory if you want to, if you're accessing some contents. Okay, so we'll study about memory management in our later course. We'll be spending hours talking on memory management. Great. Another feature is it is interpreted and byte compiled programming language. So what is this? So I will not spend too much amount of time over here, but in simple terms, C++ is a compiled language. So what do you mean by compiled language? That all the execution in compiled language, all the execution takes place in a system's binary language. Okay, but in Python is a byte compiled, or we can say interpreted, and executions does not take place in system native binary language, so that's why it's a bit slow than other compiled languages. Okay, again, this Java is also byte compiled, but it's interpreted with Zeet. I don't know what's the full form of Zeet, but yeah, you can of course go to Chris Jaswal, one of the good Java developers. So you can actually ask them about Java. He's developing the course Kana in Java. So actually you can refer him to knowing about what's the whole process of executions of Java works. But I will talk about the execution of Python, a Python file and everything in our detail. Again, you can go through the syllabus where we are actually talking about execution of a Python programs. Okay, so first of all, let's have some toolkits so that we can write some code so that it makes to you, and then we will then you'll understand how execution in Python works. Okay, so Python is a byte compiled and it helps boosting the performance. It is not yet only interpreted. It's a byte compiled, but it's classified as interpreted because most of the features has of interpreter language. Okay, so it boosts up the performance, and then it also have the advantages of interpreter languages. Okay, so I hope that you got it on Python. Interpreted and byte compile. We will talk about this one, Python execution environment, later on, but for Java you can actually refer to, I would say, Krish. I will put his LinkedIn profile in the comment description. But yeah, you can actually ask me if you want to learn Java, C++. There is other peoples like Harsh Upadhyay who are you can actually DM me. I will refer you a good person to learn all of these, but my aim to teach you Python core Python programming. Okay, now we are done with every features. Now I hope that you will be able to understand what is Python. So Python is a very robust programming language that has too much of power with these features and applications of a traditional. It is byte compiled, so that's why it has applications of traditional compiled language. It is a very easy to use, and it is also interpreted language. Got you? Great. Let's go on to the downloading part. So now we'll download a Python and then we'll install. By the way, I'm not going to download and install the Python, just I will show you where you can download. So there will be the link in the description down box below, the docs link. I have provided each and every step of downloading and installing Python, then VS Code and everything, so you can actually go to that docs. So I'm just writing over here in description there is a PDF for setting up the environment, Okay, so you can actually go in the comment this description and actually stop this video, complete that environment, and then come back. Okay, either you can continue with this if you are not on a system, you can do that later on. Okay, so let's start with the coding part. So actually I'm in my folder of Python course, Python programs. I have too much, but this will be the main folder. I've already written all the codes. It will be uploaded on GitHub soon. Okay, so you can see over here, let me put my tab there. I don't want it as of now. Yeah, maybe in further way I will want it. Great. So you can see that what we'll study today, we'll talk about print function, we'll talk about comments, we'll talk about variable assignment, we'll talk about in various these many assignments, and then we'll talk about identifiers, then module structure, and then we have already talked about memory, how memory manager works in Python. Okay, so let's start with print function. So for example, you are told to print. So for example, you are told to print Ayush is a good boy. Okay, so you are told to print this. Okay, so you are told to Ayush is a good boy into the after you run the program. So you have this Python file and you are told to print it. But just wait, I forgot to tell you one thing, that how we create the Python file. For creating the Python file, wait, I have to open my lecture programs folder so that I will be very comfortable in writing all the stuffs. So for creating the Python file, okay, you have to first of all write the name of the file. So test, okay, now every Python file has an extension of .py that identifies, okay, this is the Python file. So if you have set it up according to the docs, you'll be able to see this environment in VS Code. Although my settings are a bit different, I have put in that navigation to the left side, sorry, the right side, and etc. So don't worry, just install the VS Code and you will be done. Just click on run button and you are done. Okay, so test.py, and .py over here is the extension of the Python file that indicates, okay, this is the Python file. Okay, so for you are in a Python file. Okay, so I'm going to just write it over here, test. So this will be a script given to you. So write test. Okay, so for example, you want to print Ayush. So let me make it like this. Ayush is a good boy. Okay, so you want to print like this. Ayush is a good boy. It shouldn't. After you run this test.py, but you are saying over here that it is giving you an error. It is giving you an error. So how you will, there is a function called print. There is a function called print, and in that you can see over here it asks for values. So if I go, you can click on control, and that will be taking to your print. Okay, and that will actually ask you this is the print function. This is the print function that is there. Okay, so you can simply, these are the built-in function. Now you can actually write whatever you need to print into the double quote or in the single quote. Okay, so let's write Ayush is a good boy. Is a good boy. Okay, so now when you run this program, if you click on this run button, it will run it, and then you can see that this run Ayush is a good boy and is printed. So there is a different ways to run. You can actually go there into your folder and write CMD. Okay, when you write CMD, your command prompts pops up. Now what you can do, you can write Python. Okay, you can write Python and write test.py, and that whole file will be executed. And your Ayush is a good boy is written. Okay, so now you have written that. Now what I will do, you can actually use this for doing the same. So let's continue using this rather than my interactive window. Okay, so you have printed. Now for example, you want something out of this. You want what happens when you do this? Ayush is a good boy and he is also a good. Okay, so like this, and he also good. So why it is not working well? Because when it is the court are that this is of course the invalid syntax. This is of course the invalid syntax. For making it in a new line, you have something called as escape sequences. So these are called escape sequences that tells you, okay, this is the new line, means this and he is will be printed on the new line. Okay, with this escape sequence. Okay, first of all you have to save this. Control S for saving. You press CTRL plus S and you are done. Okay, so press Control S and then go on your command prompt where the folder are, and click on Python and write your favorite test.py. Oh my god, it's test.py. And actually what will happen, Ayush is a good boy, and the next line he is also a good. Okay, so this is how these are called the escape sequences. Okay, so there are other escape sequences like /t. So but before that I want to tell you one thing, that you want this to be printed. You don't want new line, you want just /n to be printed. So you can actually put over here /n. So now when you run this, I've just clicked on upper arrow, so my above commands run. Now you will see Ayush is a good boy, and actually /n, and he is also a good boy. Okay, so this is how everything is working over here. Great. So you can actually do some of the I would say operations. So for doing the operations, you can actually write, for example, you want to add 45 plus 6, or 45, 59 plus 2, 8, or you want to write 49.55 plus 0.0022. So you can actually do this. So when you run this, just see, without we have not written anything. When you run this, it gets executed. Okay, because of course this Python understand this, but you want to print something. Okay, you want to print this. So what you will do, you will just write print. Do you know why I'm not able to write a very good way? Because I bought my new keyboard, so that's why it's getting very difficult for me to start writing on that. Okay, just bear with me if I do anything wrong. Okay, so just write print, and then you go over here and then python test.py. Now you will able to see that it added. Okay, so we also have you can also the multiplication, you can also the division or subtraction, anything you can do using Python programming language. Great. So we have talked about this. Now you want multiple statements on the same line. So we have another topic, multiple statements on the same. I have already written. I'm just referring which topic to teach you, so that I'm on my test.py, so that I'm able to teach you everything from very scratch. So these are your notes which are available. So let's, for example, you have this Ayush is a good boy. Now you want this I use a good boy. Now you want to save some line. Now you want to say Krish is also a good boy. Is also a good boy. Okay, Chris is also a good boy. Okay, so oh my God, why I have written over here Python? It should be print, no? So you have print Ayush is a good boy and print Krish is also a good boy. So to save some line. So if you run this, let's run this out. It will give you an error when you save this program and run this python test.py. It will give, okay, this is an invalid index. There are two statements run on the same line. Okay, so you can see that these are called the statements. These are called the statements, and these are called the two statements run on the same line. So for saying, okay, Python, listen, that end this statement and then execute this statement. For saying Python, end this statement, click on just click on semicolon and you are done. Python is okay, this is done, this is done. Now this will be executed. Now when you do this, it will be run easily. Ayush is a good boy and Krish is also a good boy. Okay, so you are done. So you are done with test.py. Now let's you can actually do multiple kind of statements on the same line. You can actually do with numbers 2 plus 3, giving the semicolon, and then go further into 5 plus 6, and then you are done. When you click it, of course when you save it, it will take like this, but yeah, when you do this, python test.py, it will be actually run and you are done. Okay, great. Next thing is we are going to talk about variables. So what are variables? So variables are like containers. So for example, let's take an example that in your house, okay, in your house, take an example of your bottle or of your pen stand. Okay, so in your pen stand, there is a pen stand. Just assume there is a pen stand, and in that pen stand you are putting all the pens. So actually that pen stand is some container, and pens are the one which are contained in that container. Okay, so just like this, we have variables. Variables are used to store something, like it may be integers, it may be decimal point numbers or anything. Okay, so if I take example of a pen stand, if I take an example of a pen stand, and where the pens are stored, the pen stand is over here are variables, and pens are the one which are stored, which are the values which are stored in that variables. So you will just ask me one question, hey Ayush, what is this? Means what is this line? When I run this, it does not give me any error. It does not give me any error. Why it does not give me any error? Why does not give me any error? It may happen because these are comments. These are comments are usually ignored by the running of a program. Comments are usually ignored by the running of programs because interpreter ignores these kind of comments, these are usually ignored by but these plays an important role. This plays an important role in terms of best practices of programming. So comments are used to when someone is working on your program, or you're working on some team, you just comment, okay, this line do this, this line to do this. This just give, okay, your code is understandable. So you have, so for example, you write print Ayush could be, okay, anything, okay, so you written over here. Now you're using a comment, you're saying writing anything, just change writing anything. You can write to your collaborator to do what to do. Write some useful stuffs. Okay, so this is what the whole stuffs. So use that comments to write some is to give more understandable code to someone. Okay, great. There is two types of comment. There is first one, this using hash. The second one is triple strings like this, and whatever you write inside this are just ignored by the program, but is taken care by the reader of your codes. Great. So we have actually talked about that. We have talked about comments, we have talked about print functions, and these are actually comments which are used. But you may ask, what is this string? These are called the strings that are being printed. Okay, so let's talk about the assignment operator. Okay, the assignment operator. So you make one variable var. Okay, so var stores 4. Now var stores 4. Now when you print var, these are the var is a variable. So when you save it, and then you, oh my god, yeah. When you run this, it will say 4 because 4 is stored in a variable var, and then you're printing that var. Okay, so variables are also very important in your journey, of course, in Python journey. So I hope that you understood. These are containers that just contain something. So this is given a special name, which is called the assignment operator, which assigns 4 into a variable. Okay, so this is what the thing is. You can actually store a integer like this. You can actually store a string like this. Ayush, you can actually store a floating point number. What is floating point number? Floating point number is actually a decimal, but in programming terms we make use of float. Okay, you can actually write 4.5 and you are done. Okay, and then you can print it out and then you can see off. Okay, great. So we are done with test.py with that as well. Now we will see, you can read this in objects. Here is an important note to take care of, that assignment does not explicitly assign a value to a variable. It does not explicitly assign a value to a variable, although it may appear from experience from other programming languages. In Python, objects are referenced. So on assignment, a reference, okay, so for example, it's not by pass by value, it's pass by a reference. Okay, so we will see how it works in detail when we'll talk about more about assignments, everything. But if I just understand, if you want to get on Google and understand what is pass by value and pass by reference, but there will be specific video telling you about pass by value and pass by reference. But in simple terms, when you assign some value to a variable, that is not done explicitly. Okay, when it is in Python, it is passed, it is by reference, not a value, it is passed by reference. Got it? Great. So this is the important note. So what we can actually do is, for example, you can actually manipulate some things. You have x equals to 1. You can write x plus 1, x plus, oh my god, what is this? X equals to 1, x plus 1 plus 4. Okay, you can do this stuffs for your playing. You can try to run this. Okay, try to run this. This is the special code for you. try to run this. So let me run in front of you and comment down, will it run or not? Will it run or not? And what may be the issue? What may be the issue? So what may be the issue? So when you run it, it says invalid syntax. Okay, you cannot assign the variables into a variables. Of course, you can do multi assignment, but you cannot do like this. You cannot do like this. The program got confused. The Python got confused. Okay, great. So let's see some of the assignment some of the assignment stuffs. So for creating a variable, you can create any name of variable like this, and you can store some values. So there are certain rules to follow. Some rules are that your variable name must start with a letter or the underscore character. Okay, so your variable name should start with this, a letter or the underscore character. Whether if you start with this $sign and right over there, it will say that invalid syntax because this is not a correct variable name. Okay, so these are some of the rules. The variable cannot start with a number. When you start with a number like this, Ayush, it will not start with a number. The second point is variable can only contain alphanumeric or underscores, and variable names are case sensitive. What is this case sensitive? What is this case sensitive? So what this means? So you make a variable age. You make a variable age, which the A4. Now you make again the next variable age 5. Are the both are same? Of course not. The both are not same because here the A is capital, here the A is small. So they both are considered different in Python programming language. Okay. So when you print age, and when you save it, and then when you run it, oh my god, who has done this? So let me, oh my god, wait. I have to run it from here. cmd write python test.py. Okay, now it will say different thing, 4 and 5. But what if I make this? Now previously age was this, age was this 4. Now we updated our age to this. Now when I run this out, this will be 5. Okay, understood? Because now age has become this. Okay, when you print this age previously, wait, when you print this age previously, like this, oh my god, what is happening? Yeah, when you print this age over here, so now tell me in the comment what will happen. So age is there, it printed the age. Now in the next line the 5 is printed. Okay, now this is how everything is working in there. Okay, got you. Let's get on to the another topic, which is some of the assignments, some of the types of assignments which you can use. So there are some of the assignments which are called augmented assignment, then you have multiple assignment and multiple assignment. Okay, so let's read it step by step. So you have one variable x where you have 1. Okay, now I'm going to make this assignment 2. So x equals to x plus 1. Okay, now when you print x, when you print x, now when you run this, it will be 2. Now you have augmented assignment. So for example, you want to augment this or increase this with the value of 1. When you run this, it will be 2. Okay, so these are called augmented. You can again do the minus sign as well. Okay, it will augment it, whatever you do, it will augment it. When you run this, it will be 0 because 1 minus 1 is 0. So eventually this is equivalent to x minus 1. This is what the equivalent. You can do with any, even the multiple times or the divide. Okay, this should work. These are called the augmented assignment. Next assignment are called the multiple assignment. So you have this x, you can actually make this to y, you can actually make this to c, and you can actually make this to o. So okay, so x, y, and c, if you print x, when you just name this, when you print y, and when you print c, okay, everything should be 1. Okay, everything should be 1. When you print this out, that should be 1 1 1. So this is the multiple assignments which you have done at the same time. The next are multiple assignment. Now, so these are called the multiple assignments, where x is equals to 1, y equals to 2, c equals to 3. When you run this out, this will be 1 2 3. So these are called the multiple assignments. Next is there is one thing, that swapping of two variables. So for example, you have made x and y equals to 1 and 2. So actually you done the multiple assignment. When you print x, when you print x, when you print y, and when you save this, when you run it, then it will be 1 and 2. Okay, so you want now to swap these, make y equals to x and x equals to y. Okay, so what you can do, you can write x equals to x comma y and y comma x. Okay, so this is how you can do, and you will be ending up with swapping of the element, the variables. But and this is possible in Python. But when you work in C, you have to make a temp variable and then you can swap it. But in Python you can do like this. Okay, so we have talked about a lot about variables, assignment, and everything. Now let's talk about something called as identifiers. Then we'll talk about module structure, and then we'll end up. So what are identifiers? Identifiers are the one, for example, I will take one example. Okay, so take an example of your variable, of your variable var. Okay, so this is actually the identifier because it is unique. So these are the set of valid strings that are allowed as the names, that are allowed as the variables in a computer language, or not only variables, reserved words or inbuilt. These are called the identifiers. Okay, so let me define var equals to 4. Now you define valid. Now you take x, and you simply pass it. Now can you name it? How many are which are the variables? Var is the variable, def is the reserve, which is also the variable, valid. These are the identifiers. Okay, these are the valid names which are allowed in the computer programs. Okay, some identifiers can be reserved words. In Python you have a lot more reserved words. You have del is also a reserved word. You cannot use actually you can use so you cannot actually use this unexpected expression. Del is actually a reserved keyword, and etc. Okay, you also have you can use inbuilt function as identifier, but there is apps is an inbuilt function, but you can use this as an identifier, but you cannot use del as an identifier. Okay, del, because del is actually reserved keyword. Okay, these are not allowed, but inbuilt functions in Python, you can actually use that as a variables, but it's not a good practice to use the inbuilt functions as a variable. Okay, so what are some valid identifiers? Just like it's the first character, maybe a number or a letter or underscore, and everything is just the same. So there is a trick for checking whether the identifier is a valid identifier or not. Okay, so what are some valid identifier and everything? So you write print and you want to check this Ayush is a valid identifier or not. So you check is identifier. Okay, identifier. Now you save this. Now it will check is Ayush a valid identifier. Now it will check, yeah, it is a valid identifier. When you try to put this, It will say no, it's not a valid identifier. We will make a simple project. We will make this function later on when the study is about strings. Okay, not now. We'll make this function soon. Okay, for checking whether the whether identifier is actually identifier or not. Great. So mainly in Python there is a module structure how your Python structure should be, but as of now we will not follow this, but when we'll make some project, we'll actually follow this. Okay, so there is, first of all, you give some documentation and then you import. These are the import. What is this importing kind of thing? As I told, that Python is extensible, so sys is actually some kind of module. Okay, module means package or a Python program already written using OP, and we can make use of that. We can make use of that to use the functionality of sys. So these are extensible. So we are importing the files. We are importing the files from Python. Okay, now over here we define a class. These are actually the object-oriented programming principles, and then you define some functions, and then if name is equals to main. So we will study about this, but the basics thing is you declare the class, you declare the function, and there is a main body where all the functions get executed or class gets executed. Okay, so we will talk about the whole story behind this in the later videos. So I hope that you understood everything. The test.py is over. All the links will be in the description box below, the GitHub link, and I really hope that you understood everything. Here is the assignments for you to work on. I have only told you one escape sequences. There are 5 to 6. Explore that, try to play with that, and then there is a take a look at the print function in the docs. You can go to Python docs, and then you can see the print function, and then you can go to do a bit of study about this. Although in the next video we will talk about this in detail. Okay, so I hope that you understood everything. I'll be catching up your next video or the lecture. You can be sure to like this video if you want, or share this video if you want. Thank you for seeing this video. I'll be catching up your next video. Till then, bye bye.